palatial studios of WOCA Radio, just outside the food court entrance to the Paddock Mall in the Brick City Beautiful, Ocala, Florida. But our days are numbered. Big news coming on the airwaves about WOCA, so just know we're at the mall for now. On the phone lines with us, Galen Unall from Life South. He's brought to us every morning by Palm Garden Health and Rehabilitation Center and Penn Flooring. Galen, can't let it out of the bag yet, but changes are a-coming.
Well, I will tell you, rumors are flying around all over the community. So
yeah, well, I will tell you this: there's no validity to the rumor that I got a national contract offer from the satellite radio companies, and I will be moving over to there. There's no. That's a falsehood. Falsehood.
You don't really want to do that anyway. Let's be clear.
Well, the only thing satellite radio would offer me that this doesn't offer me. I would be able to not have to be as vigilant on the words coming out of my mouth. That's the only difference.
Well, and you wouldn't have to be as if you're going to do a talk show. You don't have to. You could be a lot more loosey-goosey with the facts. So
see, but I couldn't. My conscience wouldn't let me be loosey-goosey with the facts.
Yeah, but you don't have to actually know anything about what's going on in the community.
No, sir. That's Howard Stern. That's Howard Stern. He doesn't need to know anything that's going on in the community.
Gosh, man, how the mighty giant has fallen.
WNBC.
Yeah, I used to listen to Howard every day.
What's this say in our society that one of the number one rated talk shows in this genre isn't even a live talk show? It's a podcast held by Joe Rogan.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm not completely surprised because Joe Rogan has long conversations and gets really into the details of the subject that other people, and sometimes are incredibly boring, I understand, but sometimes they're incredibly fascinating. And he's got no clock.
None.
It may be an hour, it may be 4, but and he's willing and he's comfortable enough to take on some subjects. Now, Spotify is completely changing who he is now that he has sold out, and it's hard to blame Joe Rogan for taking the $100 million.
Yeah, I might be tempted to take $100 million.
Everybody's got a price, and $100 million, not just you. It's your kids, it's your kids' kids, and it's your kids' kids' kids. So, that's 3 generations that don't have to work if they don't want to.
Right. They don't have to. Exactly. And by the way, that's how you get lackadaisical. You know who that reminds me of? What's a big family that was here, American family, that by the time their sons got to be old enough, they really didn't have to work, but they went into politics and slept with a bunch of different women and killed a woman in a car overturned in a creek in Chappaqua. Oh, yeah, the Kennedys. The Kennedys.
Sure. Well, and again, there's a lot of that, but it doesn't surprise me. I mean, I remember, I would listen to Howard Stern, and then I would listen from Howard Stern to Rush Limbaugh. And that would be, to me, that would be a good day in and out of classes in college. And, even when I was on the radio in the mornings in Jacksonville, I could get off the air and Howard Stern would still be on. And again, he's just not the same guy. And it's not, he did some things that were kind of funny, but it was his interviewing skills because he was willing to ask questions that made people uncomfortable and that they hadn't answered before. And you were going to get an honest answer because if you didn't, Howard Stern was going to hold you accountable. And I never looked at him as being left or right. He just was a curious guy and wanted facts.
No, and we
that's gone.
No, that's gone. That is gone. And he was a very good interviewer. That was the draw to him. Everybody thought it was his comedy and his slapstick, and I always thought that was the sideshow. I always legitimately thought when he had a good interview, he asked questions that were provocative enough where it made everybody a little uncomfortable. And I was okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody who went on that show kind of knew that was going to go. Now when you listen to it, I was like, oh, come on. oh, yeah, I can't listen to Howard anymore. And the first time I got Sirius or satellite radio, I should say, is because of Howard. I'm like, oh wow, Howard's going to be on satellite where he's not railing against the FCC, and he completely sold out. And now all he wants to do is be accepted by Twitter, and now Twitter doesn't care about him.
No, Twitter has become, it was a place where sports writers and people that were at events, like I would use Twitter 4 or 5 years ago to give hole by hole updates when I was at the Honda Classic or the Valspar Open or something, and people would follow because they wanted to know. I had a great Twitter following, but because I would literally walk around and follow Teddy. And that helped because a lot of people here that couldn't go to the game, they couldn't go to the golf course, they would tune into my Twitter to see what Teddy was doing on a hole-by-hole basis. And so that was the use of Twitter. Well, Donald Trump changed how Twitter is used.
I think it changed before him, but I think he was no, it had changed before him. It had become this platform of people expressing their ideas. I think what changed is Twitter realized what they had become and didn't like it. There was a time 3 or 4 years ago where, maybe even 5 or 6 years ago, where it was this free flowing of ideas, and you could follow 20 different people and get 20 different views, and that's what I liked about Twitter, is you weren't hearing the same recycled information. And then, Trump forced all of that to be completely imploded. And, and now YouTube's followed suit. And also everybody tried to be one up each other on Twitter. And that's really created what it is today.
Well, I used to.
Where you go on there and you put on a hot take and hope you get a bunch of retweets.
Right.
So,
I remember I have a friend of mine that's in broadcasting. He works for the mothership up in Connecticut, and he's a local boy though, local guy. I won't say his name publicly on the radio, but he's a local guy. But works for ESPN. Pretty good catcher of the football. I'll give you that. Danny Warfel really liked him. I'll give you that. But I won't tell you the guy's name. You know what I'm saying? But if you can't figure,
he's got a shirt on right now.
It probably does not have a shirt on as we speak. Is the guy I'm talking about? But he used to get so caught up in what people would respond to his Twitter, to his tweets,
yes, he did.
Or to his Facebook post, and he would get just angry.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was like, why are you doing that? What do you mean? I'm like, dude, you have a microphone. You have a bully pulpit they can't approach. The only way they can get back at you is through Facebook and Twitter, which isn't broadcast to thousands and thousands of people. Say what you want to say. Let them degrade you all they want so that they feel better about themselves. And who gives a damn? Am I wrong in thinking that's how you should handle social media?
No, absolutely not. But if you're if you're a troll, right? Like my sidekick and partner in high school football, John Ivory. That's what you want. You want the guy you're trolling to get upset because it fuels you. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just I don't understand all the people, and people send me stuff all the time on Facebook about how dumb this is or how stupid this is. And they heard something on the radio, and they send me an email, Tom at WOCA. If you want to send an email telling me how great or how bad I am, go ahead. And I answer all of them, and I answer all of them the exact same way. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to contact me. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, that's all you can do. And again, you just going back and forth. Now, sometimes in Twitter, there was a time when you could have a genuine discussion at 144 characters.
Yes.
Right? Where people came at it honestly and openly and saying, hey, let's take defund the police. Really, and you could ask, so what happens after the police are gone? And hopefully, and we're not all Aristotle here. That's not my point. But once in a while, you'd hear somebody say, well, you could turn it over to private firms and blah, 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 or whatever. right? But you would get a different view, and that's all gone. Now
Gone.
everybody runs to their corner and defends their team.
We lost Galen again.
Sport.
Oh, there he is. He's
you
back.
have to defend your team.
Right. That's all it is. It's about making
You have
sure
to
your
defend your
agenda.
team above
It's about
all
making
else.
sure your agenda gets defended.
terrible.
It's no longer about conversations. It's making sure your agenda gets
Sure.
defended. Hey, Galen, we got to take a break real quick. When we come back, speaking of defended, boy, there was some defense and some pitching going on in Chicago last night. We'll talk about that next. Heartbreaker, though. Heartbreaker. I don't want to spoiler. Don't want to have a spoiler, but it was a heartbreaker. We'll be right back after this time out. You're listening to Ocala Talks with Tom Schmitz, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
Are you or your loved one being released from a hospital and wondering how you'll manage? Inform your physician that you want to go to Palm Garden of Ocala at 2700 Southwest 34th Street for your rehabilitation. Palm Garden provides pain management, post-discharge follow-up, diabetic care, psychosocial support, and so much more. Plus, they even offer outpatient rehab. This award-winning care facility has a team of licensed professionals dedicated to enhancing your independence. Call 352-854-6262 today.
Hi, this is JP from Penn Flooring here in Ocala. I would like to invite you to come in and visit our spacious showroom where we have solutions for every style and budget. From wall-to-wall carpet to hardwood floors and tiles, we have an unsurpassed selection of flooring. At Penn Flooring, we've provided quality customer service with a family touch for over 25 years. Visit our website at pennflooring.com or come by our showroom, 1201 Southwest 17th Street, just over the bridge. Penn Flooring, quality customer service with a family touch.
Now you did it. Are you completely insane? He's back. He, who must not be named. The man, the myth. The only guy in Ocala to eat his own weight in fried pickles. Twice. Now, you asked for it. Sorta. Live and in person. It's Tom Schmitz.
It is Tom Schmitz, live and in person. Coming to you from the WOCA studios just outside the food court entrance to the Paddock Mall. For now. Galen Unall on the phone lines with us, as he is every morning, brought to you by the good folks at Palm Garden Rehabilitation Center, located at 2700 Southwest 34th Street. They offer skilled nursing, physical, occupational, and speech therapy. If you have any questions how they're handling the COVID-19 pandemic, give them a call, 352-854-6262. Also like to thank Penn Flooring, family-owned and operated, serving Marion County for over 30-plus years. They do both commercial and residential flooring. Go see their massive showroom at 1201 Southwest 17th Street here in Ocala, or give them a call at 352-351-3420. Galen, last night I watched an extra inning ball game again as the Braves are now 0-3 against the Marlins on this homestand for the Braves with the Marlins. A Marlins team that's not very good. The Braves team who, except for Ronald Acuna Jr., has no offense whatsoever.
Yeah, and it's amazing. You were talking about earlier this week about what that offense can do, and they can't do anything right now.
Right now they can't do anything. But I tell you this, another team that couldn't do anything was the team that went up into the confines of Comiskey Park, or whatever you want to call it these days, the Chicago White Sox last night. Almost a perfect game. Almost.
Yeah, and the way that ended is just diabolical. I mean, he's gotten 25 outs. Think about that. You've got 25 outs in a perfect way, right? No blemishes, no walks, no hits. Only really one hard hit ball that, just went right at somebody, or it would have been a double. But then on the 0-2 slider, hits the dirt and catches the guy's big toe, right. Maybe.
Barely touched.
Maybe. I mean, the acting job by the Cleveland hitter was outstanding. But, and there goes the perfect game. He did get the no-hitter, though, which I think, his teammates would have, that would have been depressing if the next guy hit a two-run bomb.
He had 114 pitches. His last pitch was the hardest ball he's thrown since 2016.
Oh, heck yeah.
99 miles an hour.
Yeah, he had some he had some stuff going on. He had some adrenaline pumping.
You know, a stat that I was surprised with last night in this game is Chicago. This is the 30th no-hitter thrown by the Chicago White Sox in the history of baseball. By the way, that's tops in the American League.
Yeah,
I would have had no idea that the Chicago White Sox
4 perfect games.
I would have had no idea. If you'd have asked me what team leads the American League with the most no-hitters, the White Sox would have been nowhere on my radar.
I agree with that. Completely agree with that.
And they have more no-hitters than anybody else in the American League. Take that, Yankees and Red Sox fans.
Well, Red Sox have only, that doesn't surprise me. Also, and let's be clear, the Cleveland Indians. What in the world has happened to that?
Is Frank Kona still the coach there?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they're pitiful. They're terrible.
Not good. They're not good, and I really thought they were going to be okay this year. But it's 162 games. We're only, depending on where you're at, 12 or maybe 13 games in. Some teams have only played 8. But it's really early. If this was last year, your season's over. So, but the Red Sox keep winning, man. 9-3. They've won 6 straight. They're arguing right now. They're the best team in baseball. But again, we've only played 12 games.
Right, and that's what everybody. I kind of said tongue in cheek, the Braves are 0-3 against the Marlins. They're not, their offense isn't coming around, but it's early in the season. Freddie Freeman is the MVP of the league for a reason. Okay, Ozuna can play. Dansby can play. This Braves team's going to be all right. Are they better than the Dodgers? No, but I don't think anybody in the National League is better than the Dodgers.
They're not better than the Padres either.
No, the Padres are really good.
The question is, are they better than the Mets? That's the real question.
Because that's who's going to. It's either going to be the Braves or the Mets in the NL East.
Well, and the biggest shock to me in all of baseball is the Cincinnati Reds. My gosh, are they playing some good baseball right now?
And should be, because who's on the Cincinnati Reds again?
No one.
Exactly. I don't know one player on the Cincinnati Reds. I got nothing.
They can flat out hit the baseball.
They are beating the cover off the ball is what they're doing. I mean, just crushing it. So,
Castellanos is probably the best player. He's a right fielder.
Can I ask?
Votto is still playing, but he's only hitting 200. So, yeah. Can
I ask a question, though? Do we really need, after seeing the 60-game schedule last year and knowing that the minor leagues play a 122-game schedule, do we really need 162 games?
You're not going there with me, are you?
Do we really need 162 games?
Yeah, we just don't need the playoffs. The way either shorten the season or take it back to where the team that won the American League pennant was the best team in the American League. Team that won the National League pennant, best team in the National League. They played in the World Series. Done. You can't do that.
Well, I know because
there are a lot more teams now than there were when there was
I know, and you want cities to stay interested, so they spend money, go to get tickets.
I don't know if that's as important as people put into it. What I think is incredibly important is that a team. So, for example, like the Rays could never compete with the Red Sox and Yankees if you only had, let's say, 2 teams from each league make it. I have no problem with 4 teams making it, right? I have no problem with it. I have a problem with 7 from each division basically making it. But I don't mind the playoff game. I think adds something. I really want to see how it works this year. But I don't. I love 162 games. That's the beautiful thing about baseball is that every day you're going to wake up and your team's going to play. And I love that. I absolutely love it. So, I love the fact the Red Sox have had a ton of day games early in the season. I sit at work and listen to the games on the radio. I love that.
I'm loving that I get the Braves games every night and now. And so I'm reinvigorated with baseball. But I'm really digging the extra inning rule. I just really am.
I love it.
It's been a rule in softball forever.
Well, sure, but I wasn't sure I was going to like it. But I think it works.
Of course it does.
Like it.
Of course it does. It applies pressure immediately because you start with a guy. You start where a fly ball moves him to third and a sac fly brings him home. You don't even have to get a hit, and you can break the tie in the 10th inning because you start with a guy on second base.
You can't go to sleep, though. That's the downside.
No. You're up late. You are the Marlins. You're up late. You really are. You really are. So. Hey,
yeah, and I think baseball's in a great spot right now. Let's be very clear.
So I'm going to because I know you you don't have anything pressing today, do you?
No, not till 10.
Yeah, you can hang out a little extra because I'm about to start. I'm about to start a fight. I'm about to start a fight between you and I. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
And every now and then, every now and then, you need a little aggression between the two.
I have no problem doing that.
None. And that's what I love about our interaction is we have no problem telling the other one that you're a dumbass. We have no problem with that.
Yeah, I mean,
yesterday,
I mean, we did learn that O on the telephone keypad is an O.
Okay, let's not go there. Yesterday was the birthday, the 80th birthday of arguably. I won't say is, but arguably one of the greatest players ever to play the game of baseball. Now you're going to say he's a totals guy. He's not really that good, but he did more with less than anybody in my generation that I ever saw. And he bet on some games too. The 80th birthday of Charlie Hustle was yesterday. He turned 80 yesterday, and it stirred up the thought in me that. Come on, baseball. Put the man in the Hall of Fame where he deserves to be.
No, you can't. You can't. So, and I've talked about this at length. This is a topic I'm really
that you're wrong on.
Let me ask you this. Did Pete Rose bet on baseball as a player and as a manager?
100%.
Then he's out. The integrity of that, every game he played. And please don't come back to me and say he only bet on his team to win. Because, A, you can't prove it. And, B, I have a lot of proof that didn't happen.
By the way, don't care. Don't care.
Okay.
Don't put him in as Pete Rose, this great player, but put him in the Hall. Say he's arguably one of the greatest hitters. He's got the hit record.
Oh no, he's not. He's a compiler.
That's what I knew you would say that, but whatever. Put him in the Hall and say, hey, here's the whole story with Pete Rose. Not only was he a guy who played baseball to as hard as you could play it, even in exhibition games, taking a guy's career from him with a bang play at the plate where it run him over in the 67 All-Star game. Not only did he play the game harder than most people at the time, but he also disgraced the game by doing this betting thing and everything and put the whole story in there. But Pete Rose, the Hall of Fame, is supposed to describe the best in baseball. And Pete Rose is one of the best in baseball, and he gets denied because he did something, an atrocity that couldn't be forgiven. I'm okay with saying, here's what he did. Just like I'm okay with Shoeless Joe and those guys being in and saying, hey, and these guys took money to throw the 1919 World Series.
Well, Shoeless Joe
tell the whole story.
And he was a better player.
But tell the whole story.
Here's the fundamental problem with that. He bet on baseball.
Hey, hold on. We got to get to the news. We'll be right back after this timeout. 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Teen gang members are arrested after cops spotted them putting the wrapped-up body of a woman into the trunk of a car in the Far Rockaway, Queens, New York area. During a traffic stop about 2 a.m. last night near JFK Airport, police discovered a body with severe trauma in the car trunk. The deceased woman has yet to be identified. Frustrated parents in San Francisco have coined a new phrase for their latest classroom reality, Zoom in a room. Students will be in a classroom looking at a monitor with their teacher from home, a move many in the community are saying is unacceptable. In Los Angeles, students can start going back to school in person, but more than half say they will continue with distance learning. Return to Learn is reporting as of March 29th, more than 40% of districts nationwide had offered all students the option to return to full-time in-person instruction. Thanks for listening. It is well appreciated. We are USA Radio News.
According to the Wall Street Journal, the new book, The Great Devaluation, is the #1 business book in the world. Hi, my name's Adam Barata, two-time national best-selling author and owner of Advantage Gold, hands down the highest-rated gold firm in the country. We help investors put physical metals inside their IRAs. My first book, Gold is a Better Way, sparked a movement. My new book, The Great Devaluation, is the #1 book in the country. I believe every investor should own physical metals. It's why I'm giving away my best-selling book to anyone with an IRA with over $100,000 for free. Call 800-900-8000 to get the bestseller, The Great Devaluation, sent directly to your door. That's 800-900-8000. The new decision is now obvious. Don't you deserve to do it with the best? Call 800-900-8000 for your free book today. That's 800-900-8000.
Aerospace Expo is back and better than ever from April 13th through the 18th. It's not just an air show, it's everything aviation in 2021. And you don't want to miss it. Join fellow aviation enthusiasts as we watch mighty warbirds in flight, vintage bombers to modern fighter jets, and our headlining act, the Blue Angels, as they celebrate their 75th anniversary, where they'll unveil their newest Super Hornet. Watch the night sky gleam with our first ever amazing drone light show, aerobatic flyers, a fireworks display, and Wall of Fire. Our event takes place on 1,000 spacious outdoor acres at the Lakeland Linder International Airport, where you'll have a front row ticket to all the action at Sun and Fun's world-famous showcase of the past, present, and future of aviation. Children under 10 are free, so make plans to bring the whole family and experience 6 exciting days of the Sun and Fun Aerospace Expo. For ticket information and show schedules, visit us at flysnf.org.
On the first and third Wednesday mornings each month at 9:05 a.m., Robert Colin with On Top of the World will be our guest as we learn all about the exciting lifestyle and new home choices available at Ocala's premier adult active community, On Top of the World. From time to time, Robert will bring guests, and you're sure to enjoy our little chats. After all, you deserve the world, and we bring it to you.
Do you have an awful-looking chip or crack in your car's windshield? Let K&K Glass fix it. K&K Glass is Florida's largest source for glass, and in our 27th year, we're serving more than 57 counties throughout the state of Florida. K&K Glass can repair or replace any windshield that falls victim to our busy roads and highways. K&K Glass always provides free estimates, free mobile service to you, and a nationwide warranty. With contact-free service options and a UV disinfection to sanitize your vehicle, when you think of glass, think K&K Glass. Visit us today at kkglass.com. That's kkglass.com.
Oh, hey, Grandpa. Oh, hey, Grandpa. Hey, Grandpa.
Yes, buddy?
Can you take me fishing this weekend?
I'd love to.
Have you noticed a change in your hearing over the years? Missing the little things in life? Visit Beneficial Hearing in Ocala today. Their expert team of audiologists will make sure you never miss a moment. Call Beneficial Hearing today at 352-629-4418 or visit them online, beneficialhearing.com.
Friday, April 16th at 9 a.m., Elizabeth and Tonya, along with their partners Julie and Jen from the Early Learning Coalitions of Marion County, will be guests to tell us about developmental screenings, referrals, and who they are for. Resources for families in our communities. Bright Future starts with preparation now. And that is what the Early Learning Coalition does. Good beginnings equal great endings. We all benefit from that greatness. So be sure to tune in each Friday at 9 a.m. for early learning right here on The Source.
Now you did it. Are you completely insane? He's back. He, who must not be named. The man, the myth. The only guy in Ocala to eat his own weight in fried pickles. Twice. Now, you asked for it. Sorta. Live and in person, it's Tom Schmitz.
Welcome back. We got caught right up against the news before I could let Galen just completely belittle the reasonings behind me thinking that Pete Rose has no place but in the Hall of Fame. So we'll let Galen continue.
No, again, it's the golden rule. So if everybody's going to bet on their sport, right, then why play? You know what it becomes? It becomes dog racing or horse race, or it becomes highlight, right? I love highlight, but at the same time, I know I'm betting. I know the players know I'm betting, and the players themselves can even bet. Even in highlight, I mean, look, they've had major scandals, and it destroyed the sport.
What are you saying? They purposely, that the best players in highlight sometimes purposely drop the ball?
Of course they do. Is that what we want? Is that what we want sports to be? Do you want it to be where the wise guys know the outcome of every event, or do you want a Super Bowl that is legit, or a World Series that's legit?
You're asking this to a guy who at 53 still makes sure he knows all the results of WrestleMania. I mean, you're really asking me that?
Yeah, but you don't watch it for sport. You watch it for the drama.
Right. It's soap opera for men, like professional wrestling.
So if that's what you want baseball to be and all pro sports, then let Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame. You have to have. Yes, I agree. On his stats alone, he is a compiler, but he belongs in the Hall of Fame. But he bet on baseball.
Can't you have that wing? Can't you have the wing of the Hall of Fame that goes, these players were great, but they were jackasses?
Then okay. All right. You can technically, and by the way, there are pieces of Pete Rose's career in the Hall of Fame.
Yes, there is.
Right. The bat and Pete Rose hates it.
The National League hit record, 44 straight games. That's in there.
All that. Yeah. I mean, when you go to the Hall of Fame, and you and I have both been there, you know that Pete Rose played baseball.
Yes. You do know Pete.
Then what are we talking about?
He's not in there, but some of his accomplishments are.
His bust does not belong in there. Sorry. He just doesn't. And I can't. He bet on baseball. And we could have a conversation about Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens and the A-Rods who took steroids.
But there's a lot more. There's a lot of guys in the Hall that are they were worse people than Pete Rose is. Ty Cobb, if you want to go by just a human being, Ty Cobb has no business at all.
Wait, we're not talking about...
And Ty Cobb, I promise you, bet on baseball. He might not have got caught, but he bet on baseball because Ty Cobb was a gambler. He's from Royston, Georgia. I've been in Ty Cobb Hall of Fame and Royston everything. Ty Cobb was a known gambler.
If you want to, do that game, then it'll just be Tom's Hall of Fame. Why don't you go create your own Hall of Fame?
I'm okay with that.
What we know, Pete Rose, first of all, it was proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. He fought it. I know I interviewed Bowie Kuhn probably 20 times because he lived in Jacksonville and Ponte Vedra, right? Had him in my studio looking at him dead in the eye when Pete Rose is killing the guy, destroying a man of great character, destroying him. And this is probably why. But because he came out with a report, had Pete Rose dead to rights, Pete Rose basically said, I didn't do this, I didn't do this, I didn't do this. And then 20 years later, he comes out and says, yeah, I bet on baseball.
Yeah.
But only as a manager.
And only if I could win. Then he said no as a player, yeah.
And then it was as a player manager, and yeah, I bet on baseball. He's never admitted to saying that he bet on his team to lose, even though it was proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that he did. So I don't care what he did off the field, other than he bet on his team to win, or bet on his team to win or lose. That's wrong. And I've met Pete Rose. I don't like him. I thought he was
he's an arrogant guy. He's arrogant as hell.
But again, I had met Bowie Kuhn before I met Pete Rose. So that didn't help.
Well, I just, the problem is it's also well documented that Bart Giamatti, nobody argues that Bart Giamatti had a agreement in principle, although there's no written record of it. But nobody argues the fact that Pete Rose was banned for life, but Bart Giamatti said, we'll revisit it in a year, and we'll probably be able to come to some equitable agreement to let you back in the game.
That's not what he ever said. Because I asked Bowie Kuhn that exact question, right? And Bowie's like, no, that is nothing more than a sports writer taking a lot of liberty.
I firmly believe they would have let Pete back in the game if Giamatti hadn't died suddenly.
No way. There's no way. That would have never happened. It just would not have happened because Bart Giamatti felt that his only thing that Bowie Kahn said is he said when Pete Rose died, that's when they would look at it.
I'm okay with that.
Every one of these suspensions and blackballs is reviewed automatically on a periodic basis. But there's no way Bart Giamatti would have allowed Pete Rose in the Hall. Because you got to remember, at the time of his death, Pete Rose still hadn't even admitted that he did it.
I know.
And he was still fighting it. They were never going to let him in.
And that was the time of the open door of the commissioner's office because it went Bowie Kuhn, who had been there forever. Then it went Bart Giamatti died, Fay Vincent, then Peter Ueberroth, and then they settled on the owner of the Milwaukee Brewers, who he gets all these accolades for being such a great commissioner in the game. I thought he was terrible. But that's just me, you know. He can't.
I'm torn on him.
He canceled. He decided to stop an All-Star game just because.
All right. Okay. First of all, we're talking about Bud Selig.
Yeah.
Right. So there are highlights to Bud's career, and there are absolute lowlights. You
1994 low light.
It's still an All-Star game, and then he turned it around to mean something again by giving the home field advantage.
Dumb.
Okay. Well, what do you want? Do you want the game to mean something, or does it not matter?
No, it's an exhibition game. It's an exhibition game.
Who cares? Then who cares that he ended it at the 14th inning? Then who cares?
The rule should have been.
Who cares?
Here's the thing.
No? Who cares?
Why play 14 innings?
You cannot have it both ways.
No, I didn't have it both ways. I said Bud Selig, when he made that call to quit that game in the 14th inning, I said that was 5 innings too late. The All-Star game should always be 9 innings, and at the end of 9 innings, if it's in a tie, game's over. Who cares?
All right. So
who cares?
Okay. All right. So you're mad at him for stopping it.
I'm mad at him for not having a rule that says it's a game nobody cares about. We're not playing until 3 in the morning.
Tom, it was unprecedented.
Okay.
So you think we should have a rule for everything that could possibly happen? All right.
Football does.
Go ahead and
football does.
No, it does not.
Look, do you know you can get a personal foul?
I guarantee you, in 6 months you're going to talk about the tuck rule and how that was made up on the spot.
Do you know?
Bring that
are
up.
you aware that in the rule book right now, if an NFL referee wanted to enforce it, any socks that exceed 28 inches is a personal foul, is a 15-yard penalty.
Sure.
If they got that rule in the book, they got every rule.
Come on. All right. I can't argue with dumb.
So look, you know what I'm really mad at Bud Selig for? I mean, it's one thing. I joke about the All-Star game, and he did a lot of good things for baseball as a commissioner. I know. By the way, unprecedented revenue while he was commissioner. Can't argue with that.
He grew the game.
These TV contracts, these regional TV contracts, changed the face of baseball, and Bud Selig oversaw that. I'll give him that.
Well,
you know what I'm really mad about, Gail? Let me just get this out, now you'll understand.
Well,
in 1994,
like Cliff Stearns.
In 1994, I had a collection of somewhere near 2 million baseball cards. I literally had a 5x10 climate-controlled storage unit filled from the floor to the ceiling with baseball cards. Had a room in my house filled with baseball cards. Had Henry Aaron rookies, Tom Seaver rookies, Nolan Ryan and Jerry Koosman rookies. I was a baseball card collector. And my collection went from about $800,000 to about $40,000 with the cancellation of the 1994 World Series.
Boy, I'll tell you what. You know what it's worth now? It's probably worth triple that. Triple what your original assessment was.
But I got aggravated with it. I got aggravated with it and put it all on the internet and sold it.
That's not Bud Selig's fault.
So, by the way, I did.
Interleague play. By the way, interleague play. He brought in.
Hate it.
Oh, come on.
Hate it.
Wow. All right. Well, you're just a hater. By the way,
I hate the DH. By the way, can we just go clear that up?
Have you ever talked to Cliff Stearns about his role and his massive hatred of the Mitchell Report?
No, I have not, but I would love to have Cliff on the radio talk about that.
You know, he hated Bud Selig. He had something down. And by the way, now the Congress, it brings it right back. Congress is trying to take their antitrust away.
Of course they are.
And I think that's a fabulous idea.
I don't think any pro sports league should have tax exempt status and monopoly exempt status.
Agreed. But yeah, you know Cliff Stearns from here.
Yeah.
I think does he still call Ocala home?
He does.
Yeah, you should get him on because now it's been 20 years or so. I'd love to hear his thoughts on, his whole mindset about the Mitchell Report. He thought it just took too long. He thought that, Bud Selig should step down. He thought that the steroid issue was going on for much, much longer. And it was. We all know that.
Oh.
I'd love to hear Cliff Stearns talk about
you know as well as I do. Performance-enhancing drugs have been in sports for as long as there's been performance-enhancing drugs. And somebody goes, well, Tom, you talk about steroids? No, not always steroids. But I consider anything that you take that gives you an edge to be performance-enhancing. Is that fair to say?
No.
You don't think so? So you don't think in a 162-game series, in a 162-game year, the fact that greenies or uppers or methamphetamine pills were always available in the 60s and 70s so that you could, that's when they were playing, night game with a doubleheader, daytime doubleheader the next game.
That's not what you said. You said, are all performance enhancers the same?
No, that's not what I said. I said, do you think that a performance-enhancing drug is anything you take that gives you an edge is a performing-enhancing drug? Is that fair to say?
I'd say no. Protein powder gives you an edge. It builds mass.
It's a performance enhancer.
Creatine, but it's legal. Right, it's accepted by
White Crosses were legal. White Crosses were legal in the 70s, but they were uppers, and they ate them like candy.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to. That's not the point of my conversation. I just think you should get Cliff Stearns on to talk about it.
I just think that when I hear people
I'd have
say,
to come in studio with you on that.
When I hear people say. Bud Selig's to blame for the steroids, and it was going on much longer than. You know who I really blame for the steroids? Everybody involved with the game of baseball, from ownership to the managers to the players. By the way, to the press who turned a deaf eye to it for a very long time because they didn't want to hurt. Baseball for a long time, the baseball press didn't go after the baseball game very much because they were such an integral part of it. The Baseball Writers of America are an integral part of the game. And so they gave these guys passes with these steroid issues and everything, because chicks dig the long ball, and it's saving baseball coming out of the canceled World Series. There is blame that can be put on the shoulders of anybody associated with the game of baseball, from writers to owners to fans who looked the other way and didn't care that Barry Bonds had gained 35 pounds and his hat size had went up by a half size. He was hitting the ball out of the yard into the cove out there in McCovey Cove. That's all they cared about. Everybody shares blame for the steroid era, which is why I don't think it should be made a big deal. Just put a wing in the hall that says, here's the steroid years, and put the people in.
I respect that. They didn't bet on baseball. I'm okay with that.
Well, see, we finally agree on something. That's a good way to end this segment.
I ran out of steam on that whole thing. You took it much further than I do. It's hard to argue. I understand the point.
I get aggravated.
But I will say that a greenie never allowed your vision to improve or to allow the baseball to travel an extra 10 feet.
But it made you more alert because you weren't as tired because it was an upper.
Not true. It made you have more fake energy, I guess. But there's absolutely.
I don't know how many greenies you ever took in your life.
Some of these drugs, none.
Yeah, see,
not entirely true. But again, there's more. They know the cocktail. If Barry Bonds would ever release what he took, it improved his vision. It improved his hand speed.
Yeah, of course.
I'm sorry, no greenie improved your hand speed.
Let me tell you something. Rafael Palmeiro was not a Hall of Famer if it wasn't for steroids.
Oh God, no way. Maybe the most overrated player. I hated him. He was in Baltimore when I lived in Baltimore. My God, people thought, oh, he's great. I'm like, he's not even Don Matting.
No, he's not even Brooks Robinson. Okay, he's not Cal Ripken.
He did have 400 home runs.
Yeah, but
he's not in the same. He doesn't belong in the same infield as Cal Ripken.
But here's what aggravates me, and it was when Rafael Palmeiro did it.
Just one thing. I just want to know if it's just one thing.
About the steroid era.
That should be the name of the show.
Things that aggravate Tom. I like it. But the last thing I want to say about the steroid era and baseball,
it could go on forever,
and how people judge that era is, you have people that were not or were, because there's no way to know one way or the other now whether people were involved with steroids or not. But like, nobody ever thought Chipper Jones took steroids, but I don't know if he did or not. People said Frank Thomas probably took steroids. Frank Thomas was the starting tight end for the Auburn Tigers football team. Frank was always a big guy. Okay, so I don't know whether he took steroids or not. I know who did. That Brady guy, what was his name? The Brady who played for the Orioles, hit 51 home runs, center fielder. Brady Anderson. He was 5 foot. He was 5'6", 130 pounds. Next season, he's 5'6", 195 pounds with 23-inch guns. Looked like he should be wrestling the Ultimate Warrior or Hulk Hogan in the WWF. Okay,
not disagreeing with that.
That's what gets me is the only problem I have with the steroid era is there's no way to definitively know who was clean and who wasn't clean, and that to me is problematic because it takes some very good people and puts them in a shadow they don't belong in.
I completely. Then that's fine. So they're all in. You no longer
100% no longer.
I have no problem with that. Yeah. I respect that. I have no problem with that. But you can't let in. Well, if you were tested positive, you can't go. You can't do that.
And you know what else is? You know what else? The one of the fallouts of this is one of the unintended causes, but it's happening now. We're seeing it now as these people are becoming eligible and they're not getting the votes. You're getting people in the Hall of Fame that don't deserve to be there because the writers figure, well, we got to put somebody in there. And I'll give you a prime example. And a great guy, Larry Walker has no damn business in the Hall of Fame.
None. Well, he's Canadian too.
But he's in the hall. He's in the hall because we got to put somebody in.
Well, does Curt Schilling belong in the Hall of Fame?
Yes. And I'll tell you why. Because of what he did postseason. Like John Smoltz. To me, John Smoltz, people go, John Smoltz is one of the greatest relievers ever. Well, he's a good starting pitcher, too. Should John Smoltz be in the Hall of Fame? For what he did. For what he did.
Ballot, no doubt.
Well, yeah, but what seals it for me with Smoltz is what he did in the playoffs. You cannot argue that Curt Schilling's A game showed up in no. Jack Morris, great playoff pitcher.
Fantastic.
Curt Schilling belongs in the Hall.
Curt Schilling's numbers, but he's got 3 Cy Youngs. Is it 3? too.
He's got World Series with the Diamondbacks and the Red Sox.
Absolutely.
See, people forget he was on that Diamondbacks team too.
And the Phillies team that went to the
that Mitch Williams gave up
World Series.
the bomb to Joe Carter.
And was the best player, best pitcher on that staff by far.
Schilling's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Now, you know who I don't think is a Hall of Famer?
Who?
Some of these pitchers, like somebody goes, well, Zach Greinke's probably going to get a good look at the Hall. No business.
Yeah, he probably will.
No business in the Hall of Fame.
He's won a Cy Young. Oh, come on.
But just to win, when is winning one Cy Young become the that gets you in?
It's been that way for a while. There are pitchers who haven't won.
Well, okay, by that same vernacular, how's Dale Murphy not in the Hall?
I agree with that. He's the ultimate compiler.
How's Dale Murphy? If it's all about numbers, how's Dale Murphy not in the Hall?
I just say that because it really upsets every Braves fan. Gets emotional.
You know what?
Every Braves fan gets incredibly emotional.
And you know, in all actuality, if you asked me to give you my top 5 Braves of all time, and I've been a Braves fan since I came out to shoot because my dad's from Milwaukee, and I have pictures of my dad and Eddie Matthews and Hank Aaron sitting together in a bar in Milwaukee in the late 50s. So I've been a Braves fan. Before I was born, I was going to be a Braves fan. There was no question about it. I've been a Braves fan a long time. I will tell you right now, without any misconviction or anything, Dale Murphy, not one of the best 5 Braves of all time. Just not.
Can I think about that for a second? Who's the top 5 Braves then?
Warren Spahn, Hank Aaron, Eddie Matthews.
Hank Aaron was a compiler. Go ahead.
Hank Aaron's a home run king. Period. But my top 5 Braves: Hank Aaron, Eddie Matthews, Warren Spahn, Chipper Jones, and this is going to upset people because he wasn't a lifelong Braves. He was a Cub first, but Greg Maddux.
So you don't put Smoltz in there, but
Smoltz is ahead of Dale Murphy. Tom Glavine's ahead of Dale Murphy.
Oh, I agree on both those counts.
Yeah.
Terry Pendleton.
Terry Pendleton was a Cardinal. Terry Pendleton held that Braves team together and taught them how to win. He took that group in 1991 and taught them how to win.
So I spent 3 weeks in spring training and 93, and Terry Pendleton's one of the nicest human beings I've ever met in my life.
And teaches young men how to become professional baseball players.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what he did at third base. He taught them how to win.
Yeah, and in '93, he was at the height of his prowess and everything. He
had already been on those St. Louis teams that were great.
Correct.
Then he went to Atlanta.
Templeton was on that team.
But think about that Atlanta team in the early '90s that went from worst to first. Think about some of the integral things. Like one of the guys that he was a journeyman. He was a pretty good first baseman. Could hit okay. Couldn't run to save his life. And yet he outran the greatest baseball player. And look, I will say without a doubt, the greatest baseball player ever to play the game is Barry Bonds. And Sid Bream outran the cannon that Barry Bonds was supposed to have. And Skip Carey right now in my head's going, Braves win, Braves win, Braves win.
I've often wondered with replay and with the different cameras.
Oh, he'd have been out by a mile. He'd have been out by a mile.
Wow.
It wouldn't
You're
even
the
be
first
close.
Braves fan I've ever talked to that actually admitted
it wouldn't even be close. He was out, but when he went into his slide, he was out. Okay, but somehow the umpire called him safe.
With you.
Somehow the umpire called him safe, and I don't care. Hey, Galen, where's the Bloodmobile today?
And by the way, if they hadn't, it would have been the only. Guys would have never won a World Series.
You got 5 seconds. Where's the Bloodmobile?
Hey, Bloodmobile today. We're at the Walmart out in Summerfield. So the Villages. I'm sorry. Come by and see us and get the life. Donate blood.
Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.
Good to have you back. Bye.
Thanks. WOCA, the source.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
In the shooting death of Dante Wright, Ms. Potter shot Mr. Wright as police attempted to arrest Dante for an armed robbery warrant after a traffic stop. Potter is out on bail after posting a $100,000 bond. Her first court appearance is scheduled for Thursday. A group of House Democrats is expected to announce a bill on Thursday that seeks to add 4 more seats to the U.S. Supreme Court, expanding it from 9 to 13 justices. Earlier this month, President Biden made another executive order, this time forming a commission to study expanding the court. Representative Matt Gaetz, the Republican from Florida, announced Wednesday a 6-figure ad buy for a spot that takes aim at CNN as part of a plan to help him fight back at mounting sexual misconduct allegations. Gaetz is under federal investigation following sex trafficking allegations, and the House Ethics Committee also opened an inquiry. USA Radio News.
Newsmax, you like Newsmax. I like it too.
Trump is right. Millions are tuning into Newsmax TV and going to Newsmax.com for real news. Some polls give Joe Biden a high job